Hello, and welcome to episode 32 of the Sunday League Pundit Show, where we are hoping this week the sound is actually going to be better. Now, you'll notice this week we're not joined by Jim Jam. He's had a family emergency has come up and he's unable to make it. So it is just myself and Tin Ribs this week.
Hello.
There we go. He is there, although he's not on camera. And instead of Jim Jam, the Statman Stat, I'm going to go into something that my 12-year-old son Zach sent me during the week.
Okay.
And it says, I'll just read it as he sent it to me.
Okay.
Xavi announces he's leaving Barcelona. Barcelona beg Xavi to stay. Xavi agrees to stay. Barcelona sack him.
Yeah.
Chelsea fans wanted Pochettino to be sacked. Chelsea board refused to sack Pochettino. Chelsea fans fall in love with Pochettino. Chelsea board sack Pochettino. Manchester United fans want Ten Hag out, Sir Jim, and the board says problem is the environment, not Ten Hag. Man United fans believe in Ten Hag. Ten Hag gets sacked. Bayern say Tuchel will leave at the end of the season. Tuchel asks for time. Bayern give Tuchel time. Tuchel says he doesn't want to stay anymore. Oh, well done, Zach. That was great. It did make me smile.
Yeah.
So I think what we're going to do now is play the music. Hello and welcome to episode 32 of the Sunday League Pundit Show with myself, Stretch, my very good friend Tin Ribs, and our very good friend, the letdown, Jim Jam, who's not here again.
You know what?
Probably won't research and listen to it, so it
I was
doesn't matter
about to
what we call
say,
him.
the other week, you all gave me shit. Like, he isn't going to... Knowing full well I would listen to it. Jim Jam, however, he's the one who's renowned for not listening in. So we'll...
Yeah, we can just slag him off at random parts
yeah.
during
It's going to be great.
during the podcast.
It
should be fun. So, have you got any news for us this week? Because I've got quite a bit.
Well, sort of, but I'm pretty sure a lot of it's going to come back up. However, I do want to go back on something that I wanted to talk about last week.
Okay.
Well, not last week, the week before when I couldn't make it. That obviously I want to talk about, and Jim Jam did say I wanted to talk about it, but with things how they happened, couldn't do it. And it's in regards to Emma Hayes.
Right.
And...
the now USA manager.
Yeah, but she said something in her sort of leaving thing that literally made me think, what the fuck are you on? And she kind of said, I can't remember the exact word, it's been 2 weeks and I have slept since then. But her wording was something along the lines of, the way women's football is going is it's going to be male dominated in the management because women can't deal with the workload. And I'm just like, hang on a minute. You're screaming that you're equal. You're screaming that you want equal pay. You're screaming that you want all this shit. But then you turn around and saying, we can't do the workload. Where is your head at? And also, it's not for someone who's supposed to be considered one of the most important and influential managers of women's football. Is that really something she should be saying?
I don't think it's something that she should be saying. I think it's sort of... it negates the idea that women are just as capable as men coming from a woman, which I think makes it even worse.
I know, yeah.
It
just baffled me.
It's like me going to my boss going, I want a pay rise. Well, why do you want a pay rise? Well, I don't know, because I'm not as good as him, but I still want more money.
Yeah.
Why would you come out and say that? Like, you're trying to back yourself. You've gone for the best international women's team ever, USA. Yet you're then going, women can't handle the workload.
It just, yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, what?
It was just mad. It was just such a random comment. You haven't turned your phone.
I've just turned that off.
You plank.
But then... There we go. Sorry. My apologies. Again. It's like when, she'll come out and say this, that and the other, but then she goes, albeit soft, don't get me wrong, and I admit that it's soft, but she then goes and assaults a male manager. Nothing is done, nothing is said, nothing happens.
But it was male aggression.
But she accuses him of being malely aggressive.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what male aggression is.
Yeah.
And for me, there's not a lot wrong with the women's game. I enjoy watching it, and I took my lads to go and watch the North London Derby when the women were playing. So I enjoy the women's game. I don't think there's a huge amount wrong with it. It's growing. They're getting more money. They're getting more revenue. And eventually, it may catch up to the men's game.
I think Simon Jordan hit the nail on the head, and he's absolutely right in my opinion, where he said the only way the women's sport is going to step out the shadow of the men's sport is when they become their own entity. So at the moment,
100%.
Let's go with Arsenal. Just use Arsenal. Arsenal women have been one of the forefronts of the women's game. And the problem is they're a subsidiary of Arsenal Football Club. So any deals is done by Arsenal Football Club. What they need to do, like with David Dean, they need to step away. They need to become their own entity. They need to take their own power and deal with their own financials. So, for example, any Sky revenue deals should not be done with Arsenal. It should be done with Arsenal's women's. So they should take their own destiny into their own hand. And what they need to do is all these female teams, these women's teams need to step away. They need to stop relying on any subsidiary from Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City. They need to, right, you're not funding us anymore. We're going to fund ourselves. And then they need to go to Sky. If you want to put things on, don't give them money, give us money. And they need to start negotiating their own deals. They need to start negotiating their own thing. Again, this is a big step. But the only way they're going to get what they want, which is this money comparison. I mean, I don't think they'll ever get in the same position. That's harsh to say, but I just think sometimes you got to look realistically. But for them to get anywhere near that, they need to step out of the shadow and into the light, and they need to take complete control of their own future. Until that point, I just don't see it.
I would agree with that, to be honest. And I believe the same with the Premier League itself. The WSL would be better served coming out with their own streaming service.
Absolutely.
WSL Flicks.
Sign me up.
WSL TV, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Just bring out your own streaming service. And same with the Premier League. They get what, 6 billion TV rights? No, It's not quite that much, is it?
Oh, it's something ridiculous.
It is crazy, but it's not quite that high. But I mean, so Simon Jordan again, obviously him being the financial guy in TalkSport, and I like listening to him anyway. He mentioned it like a while ago, and he's saying it would take half the registered viewers of the Premier League to subscribe to Premier League TV for it to make more money.
Yeah.
And if them that are watching now are already paying more than the Premier League would charge, because I think he said something like $12.99 a month for the Premier League TV. Every Premier League game available will be shown on. Each team will have their own channel effectively on Premier League TV. And if you pay $12.99 a month, I'd pay it.
Well, that's
happily.
Well, you look at it this way: Sky Sports is £30 a month. I think it's like £30 a month bolt on.
But that's just us.
Yeah, but what I mean is, how many other sports do you watch on Sky Sport?
I've never watched another one.
There you go. So if you've got the Premier League for half the price,
100%.
you're going to go to it.
100%. Mate, I'd pay the same. So I'd pay $30 a month for Premier League TV and Championship TV.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sign me up.
But this was going on to... I really wish I could remember which company was on about, but they were on about doing like a streaming thing, but they wanted to get rid of the 3 o'clock watershed.
Yeah.
And I think that was like the stumbling block. But they need to get rid of that anyway.
It's antiquated.
Oh, totally.
Antiquated. Because it comes from a time when people were first getting TVs, like we got mobile phones in the early noughties. It's all of a sudden it gone from a real privilege to have a mobile phone to maybe late 90s. Everyone started having them.
Mm-hmm.
Same with TVs. There was a point where it was just the rich, and then all of a sudden, more and more affordable, everybody's got them. At that point, football were like, people want to stay at home. They don't want to leave the houses in the late 60s, early 70s. Football's dangerous for a start.
Well, it was back then.
If you've got a family, would you rather sit in your living room watching football, cheering your team on, or would you rather be there looking over your shoulder thinking, is he looking at me son because he's got the wrong shirt on? Or I would want to stay at home in the 70s and the late 60s. But now it's not like that. No. Yes, there's trouble and there's this and there's that and there's dickheads that are homophobic and racist, and you're always going to get that because you're going to get idiots everywhere. But I don't think it would harm live audiences.
No.
Because I'd pay for Premier League TV, but if I could get an affordable ticket, I'd go.
Yeah.
I wouldn't sit and watch it on telly if I could go.
No.
I mean, the fact that the tickets are, I mean, as an Arsenal point of view, season tickets, mate, half the time you'd be better off buying a car. They're like £1,900 or something.
Jeez.
And that's for a cheap season ticket.
Yeah.
Cheap. Like Wolves fans are complaining now because theirs have gone up from 300 and something to 400 and something.
Yeah.
Which is a big jump in a year, like.
The thing is, though, sometimes you got to put a context on it. I can't remember what the change was with Leeds, but when we went up to the Premiership, there was quite a hike. It was like about £100. And I was listening. I was not listening. I was reading in the chat, all like different chats, people moaning, and then someone just said, "We've not had a price rise in 3 years. They've remained the same price for 3 years."
That's pretty good, isn't it?
So what? You know, you got people going, "Oh well, that's fine. I just won't buy mine. It's all right. There's 30,000 people waiting for your fucking ticket, mate." And they don't give a shit. And
that's the thing, though, isn't it? We've got Sky Sports, and we've got the ability to watch most Premier League games.
Yeah.
And a lot of Championship games. Stadiums are still full. Are you telling me if Leeds TV or if Championship TV and Leeds had their own channel, are you telling me Ellen Road wouldn't be full every single week?
Absolutely.
It's not going to harm attendances.
No.
Now, if you come to me tomorrow and go, Max, first game of the season, right, I'll even take it lower, where they think that the damage would be done. Because they're going, it's not the Premier League, because they will get it's lower down. Well, let's go right far down then. Let's go Macclesfield.
Yeah.
If you said to me, I've got it on telly, mate, first game of the season, it's on TV, come round to my house. And then somebody like Jim Jam rung me and went, I can get tickets for first game. Do you think I'm sitting at yours, or do you think I'm ringing you going, buy a ticket, and we're going?
Yeah,
We'd be there.
Mate, I'd be going, can I have a ticket as well?
It's not going to harm attendances. And I truly believe that. But you'd still pay the money to the Premier League, and I think they'd earn more from it.
Yeah.
So you can buy expensive microphones, but you still can't talk. Get your words out eventually. Talk like a muppet.
Can't help it.
I'd got, changing the subject and going on to a bit of news from this week.
Yes.
I was looking forward to mentioning this with Jim Jam.
Yeah.
You know, the rat.
Yeah.
It's not here.
Can't be.
That'll continue during the course of the podcast. Free agent Lallana is in talks with Southampton.
Okay.
Do you think that would be a good thing or a bad thing?
What's he there for? Making the tea?
I think he'd be quite a good signing for Southampton, given the midfield they've got.
Right, so it depends on how we look at him. I've always seen Lallana as sort of like a wide threat player, but I don't think he's an improvement on the players that they already have.
Are you not telling me that for just the contract, which I don't think will be extortionate because he's going back to a team that he does actually care about?
True.
I don't think he'll rip them off. So for just a contract, I think he's going to be a great squad player.
Possibly, yeah. Yeah, you know what? He's a free transfer.
I don't think he's going to be first name on the team sheet by any stretch of the imagination. But if you've got 65 minutes and you're thinking, I need that midfielder next week.
I suppose in a way it's no different to me saying I'd have Jamie Milner back.
100%.
So, yeah, no. Yeah,
I'd take James Milner when he's 60. I bet he's still fitter than most of us.
Probably.
Jesus.
But no, yeah, why not? like you say, it's player, ain't it?
Yeah, I think
you're-
it's a good signing personally. As long as Lallana doesn't go and go, I want 190 grand a week, then I think it should be okay.
I'm trying to think how much he would rightfully, 60?
60 to 80 maybe
Yeah.
he'll probably ask for.
You know, they are going to have to strengthen massively.
They're going to have to spend out, but then they've got that from the playoff final anyways.
Yeah.
As we've said many times, most expensive game of football in the world.
Yeah. But they've got, as Jim Jones keeps saying, don't fall in love with lone players. Are they going to try and get those lone players back? Are they going to try and advance?
I think Harwood Bellis might be a signing because they're now in the Premier League. I think they'd have lost him completely had they not been promoted.
It's whether
But I
Man
think-
City want to let him go.
If the player wants it, if he feels he's not going to play at City, he's going to push for the transfer. And we all know when a player pushes for a transfer, it'll happen.
Yeah.
Because it's all player power now, isn't it? So
Yeah.
I think it'll happen personally. And I think it'd be a great signing for both Harwood Bellis and for Southampton. Because I do think he needs minutes because I think he's a good player.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll get them minutes at City because he's not at the level Foden was at when he was young.
No, but also I'm going to put it this way. There's a lot of again, it's all conjecture and stuff, saying that Leeds won't get Rodon now because there's Premiership interest. They're also saying that Ampadu's going to go because there's Premier League interest. So I think there's also the sort of he's done a good job at Southampton. He got him sent up. But are other teams who are in the sort of similar region going to look at him and go, okay, maybe he'd be good for us? For example, Fulham. Let's just pick one out at random. Fulham look at him and go, could do with a good centre-back. Then all of a sudden they're going to put about the same amount of money forward. They might offer a little bit more wages. Who are you going to go for? Fulham, who have been in the Premiership for the last, 10 years?
But they're a struggling Premier League team. They're not. He's not going to go there and think.
Yeah, but they're not struggling anymore.
They're not in Europe.
No,
Do you
but
know what I mean?
it's still more of a. I wish Jim Jam was here. Fulham are a Premiership side, and Southampton are a scraper. They scraped it up, and unless they have some serious investment, they're going to drop back down. And I mean serious investment.
They do need big investment.
They got very lucky against us.
They got lucky that you were terrible in that game.
Well,
Your finishing was
absolutely.
horrific.
We couldn't finish, and they played the perfect park the bus to stop us playing,
Yeah, they
which
did.
is fine. I'm not.
I mean, it worked.
Yeah, it
but
worked. It was a
boring.
perfect tactic, and the fact that they had the one shot that happened to go in, that Meslier really should have done fucking better with. I'm sorry, I know I've said it a few times, but he should have done better. But the fact of the matter is, unless they do invest very heavily, they're going back down. And given the fact that Harwood Bellis is going to have England aspirations, because he is he going to want to go to a team that are going to scrape it and possibly go back down? Or is he going to want to go for a team that's sort of loitering that mid-table? He's got that.
That depends on two things. What he thinks of Southampton and how things were in the dressing room last year. Because if in the dressing room, then players are like, we're going to push on, and they're like very positive, and they're very confident, and they're really sort of up for it, then maybe he will think, I'm up for it as well. I'll go there and I'll go for the fight. I suppose a lot depends on stuff we don't know behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So it'd be an interesting one to watch. And a lot, I think, does depend on what Premier League interest there is. And certainly for Leeds.
Yeah.
Because you've got the massive advantage of Ellen Road being your home.
Yeah.
And I've sat in the stand at Ellen Road. And it is a great atmosphere, as much as I don't want to admit it because you're here. It's a great atmosphere, and I really enjoyed it. And I'd got like a Leeds fanatic sat behind me that turned around and went, "You're not a Leeds fan." And I was sat there in a Leeds shirt, and he went, "You're not a Leeds fan." I went, what tells you that? He went, "Because your shirt's got creases in it, so I know you've only just bought it out of the shop, and I've never seen you here before." I know you're not a Leeds fan. Who do you support? And I was honest. I turned around and said, oh, I'm an Arsenal fan. And he sort of looked at me and he was quiet for a bit. I thought, I'm going to get a slap here. And he looked at me and went, it's not United. You're good. I was like, okay, cool. And then I spoke to him for the rest of the game and he was great. But the atmosphere at Ellen Road was brilliant.
Yeah.
And it really was good. So if somebody wanted your players, now, don't get me wrong, if Arsenal, United, Chelsea, Liverpool, it's going to be a big draw for them. Anybody else, I genuinely think they would have a hard time dragging players away from Leeds because Leeds is a good place to play. The players that would be wanted by the good Premier League clubs are going to be loved by your fans. So it'd be difficult to drag them away from you.
Rumours. So the first link is Somerville to Liverpool.
I've heard that one. I don't think he's that big of a scumbag, though, is he?
You've got to realise Arne Slot pretty much kind of gave him his thing from Feyenoord. We got him from Feyenoord, so there is that little link. I think it'd be a bad move for Somerville. I don't think he makes their team. However, if Liverpool say we can have Carvalho, for example, I'll rip their hand off.
Yeah, it's dismal. It doesn't get enough time.
No, and I think if you're going to sell a player like that, bring someone in similar. I would
agree.
For me, I'd take that. The next link was Meslier to Chelsea.
I wouldn't want to lose him.
Yes and no. Week in week, I do like him, but he is very erratic.
So was Szczesny when we first had him.
Yeah.
And then look what he turned into. You've had the bad now. Enjoy the good. Because he's going to get to a point now where he's almost top 5 in the world.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that. I think he's a great goalkeeper. Yes, he's got an error in him, but he's very, very young and started very, very young.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be superb.
You've also got, this one's funny for me. Rutter to Fulham.
I hadn't heard that one.
No, seriously. I find that one quite laughable.
I can't see that happening.
No. To be honest, I don't think Rutter would go.
It depends what they're paying.
No. He seems to have this... He's definitely got a love for the fans and the club. Just like when you watch interviews with him, see his interactions with people and stuff, he genuinely wants to be there.
I think they'll struggle to price him away. He's one of the ones.
Yeah. The big one, and obviously there's a tale of caution with this one, Man City, Archie Gray.
Do you know, I have heard on the grapevine, Arsenal are linked with Archie Gray as well. That's one of the things that I wanted to tell you.
But Man City's the big one. That's the one that everyone...
I don't think it is. I don't think it is, and I'll tell you why. Because Archie Gray does not look to me like a stupid kid.
No. He's got a lot...
And he's going to look at Kevin
Look at
Phillips.
who his dad is. Look at who his uncle is. There's a lot of footballing wisdom and experience there. They will probably guide him better than... For example, I'm going to use Calvin Phillips.
He's a DM, isn't he?
Yeah.
Mainly?
Yeah.
I know he's played a lot right back for
Though
you.
he is quite good going forward, so I'd say he's more of a box-to-box.
But you would play him DM. And if he gets a chance to go forward...
Yeah.
See, now, my thinking is, if Arsenal signed Archie Gray, party's going, thankfully. That's 200k off the wage bill that, well, it's 300k a week, isn't it? Because you pay 100k a week in
tax
damages.
Yeah.
So party's coming off. I don't think Jorginho's fantastic. For me, Archie Gray starts for Arsenal at DM.
Possibly.
Now, if Archie Gray goes forward, one person I don't mind covering for Archie Gray, Declan Rice.
Yeah.
So if Archie Gray pushes forward and Declan Rice drops off, do you know what? I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's a good combo.
Because I'm happy Archie Gray going forward, and I'm happy Rice going back.
And you've got vice
I'm
versa.
happy Archie coming and sitting back and Rice going forward. I think he should be our priority, even over a striker. And I've been screaming for a striker, I have. But I think we're going to lack in DM next season.
So, obviously, going back to like Calvin Phillips, when Villa came in for him, he said, no, my nan, no.
Yeah.
And all his influences and comments come from family, and we're all family orientated, which is great. But they weren't footballers. His dad, Leeds through and through, footballer. His uncle, the great Eddie Gray, one of the greatest players to play for us. Those two will be heavily watching his career. They'll be giving him football advice, not, oh, this is what's going to make you money.
Insider's advice.
They're going to say, look, the money might be there, but look what's happened to Calvin.
His career's done.
Yeah. So I'm not sure he'll leave.
I hope he does.
I know you do. I don't want to.
I've been saying that for over a year.
But he has got Leeds in his blood. And I'm hoping he stays. If he doesn't, he doesn't. It is what it is. But I think if he does move, it'll be for the right reasons, footballing reasons rather than financial. Agree. And it is because, like I say, the influencers and people who advise him are probably the best people for it. But yeah, so we've got Ampadu to Bournemouth. So, again.
I can't see that happening. Would you want to leave Leeds and go to Bournemouth?
Sinister Herrera did.
It's a good shout, actually, yeah.
And so did Taylor Adams.
I don't know who that is.
Taylor Adams, he was that midfielder who got injured and then never played.
That's probably why.
He was really good. To be fair, he was absolutely fantastic. Our season under Jesse Marsh went to shit the minute he got injured.
Wow, maybe that pull is greater than I thought it was.
Probably is. It's Premier League, mate. I don't know. It's to be fair, I'd like to see a few people show a little bit of loyalty, but it's football. And everybody's on about we need to sell players. You're right, we do. We've got that fucking waste of space Aronson. We need to get rid of him. We need to get rid of Llorente. We need to get rid of Harrison.
That's something I wanted to talk to you about.
And that's the other one that makes me laugh. A link, again, a Nonto to Everton. So, Everton want to spend 25 million on Harrison. They want to spend how much we want to ask for Nonto, but those cunts haven't got a pus to piss in, and their fucking takeover just fell through.
Yeah, I've got that in my notes actually, where they may, if it gets too bad, be wound up.
Mate, seriously, you've got to think a company took them into due diligence, ready to take over, and then all of a sudden they've pulled out.
Yeah,
how
fucked
are that club?
Yeah, it's.
And yet, apparently, they're going to sign some of our players. With what?
False hope and promises. I can't see it going too well for Everton at the moment. I really can't. I think they're just struggling.
You know what? If their fans hadn't attacked their players 2 seasons ago, I'd have sympathy. But I don't.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to talk to you about, well, I wanted to talk to you both about, thanks Jim, it's gone by, was the financial rules. Do you think, like I do, that that's going to damage English players? I'll explain why. Right, in case it's confusing for anybody listening.
Yeah.
Now, we have, potentially on the chopping block, Zinchenko, Jesus, Smith Rowe, and Nketiah.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them are English.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if we sell Zinchenko, I'm going to use the same number for all of them just to make the maths easier. If we sell Zinchenko for 50 million, that is, as he's been there a little while, say 20 to 25 million pound profit.
Mm-hmm.
We sell Jesus for 50 million, that's 15 to 20 million pound profit. Smith Rowe and Nketiah, that's 50 million pound profit for both of them. They are the first on the chopping block because they are the ones that make the books look better.
One slight thing. And this is an absolute legend who came through our academy. Scott Carson has just signed another 1 year with Manchester City. Why?
Why not? He's getting trophy after trophy after trophy.
Why have Man City signed Scott Carson? There's a real good reason for this, and it's obvious.
Because they don't have to buy anybody to replace him.
No.
He's cheap as...
No. This is clever as fuck. So, within your squad, you have to have X amount of homegrown players. No one gives a shit about the third choice goalkeeper. English.
That's true.
Nketiah and Smith Rowe are safer than you think because you need to have those English players. So unless
they're easy money to balance the books.
I mean, if you're looking to bring in Gray, who is English. You can lose one of your English players. That's fine.
But don't forget, I say don't forget. I know this, you probably don't because you're not an Arsenal fan. Ethan Nwaneri has been promoted to the first team
has he?
as of this summer.
Oh, fantastic. Well done.
So Nwaneri's coming up. So he now counts. So now if you're looking at them 4 transfers, Eddie and Smith Rowe don't look that.
One of them's going.
I think Nketiah will be sold.
Yep.
And I think Smith Rowe will probably go out on loan. Smith Rowe apparently has had meetings with Arteta begging him for a loan. Please don't sell me. Let me go out for 12 months, prove myself.
Smith Rowe?
And let me come back. Smith Rowe has.
Send him up to Ellen Road.
Mate, honestly, I'd love it because I know you'd play him.
Oh, God. Could you imagine him in Archie Gray?
2 years ago, he was one of the best players in Europe.
Could you imagine him and Archie Gray together?
Be great, wouldn't it? I'm trying to imagine it because I want to see them both in red. But to be fair, if they were at Leeds next season, and then we got Smith Rowe back and bought Archie Gray for the season after, I'd be more than happy.
Yeah, because they've just built a partnership.
Friendship.
Yeah. No, it's
both great players, both English. One of them wouldn't cost us anything because he's only going to cost you probably 100 grand a month for a loan fee or whatever. It won't be a lot.
Yeah. I think there'd be a cut on that because if you go down a division, they tend to reduce it for financial reasons. Possibly, but I think it would do them both good. I know we're losing quite a few of our big earners off the books this year, which is good. So.
You need to, don't you, really?
Well,
especially
they're all the ones that
when you don't bounce straight back up.
You got Roker going out. He's like one of our biggest earners.
Because you still get parachute payments, don't you, for 3 years, but it drops quite drastically after the first year.
I think I read somewhere that the first one is 50%, then it goes down to 40, but then it's like 20 for the third. It's like quite a drop off. So,
I mean, you don't deserve any money for the way you played in the championship.
Mate,
I'd go around to your guys and go, "You're not having any of it now." That was embarrassing.
Mate, it was
you should all be sacked.
That game was the moment I just want Anonto gone.
You did mention it actually, and for those that are watching on YouTube, it is in our live playlist. So if you want to go, you can hear the anguish in Tinrub's voice all throughout the first and second half, and the joy in my voice and the joy on my face just watching him squirm. Because obviously he's a mate, and he's a close mate because he's been mates for years. So I love watching him suffer. It's brilliant. Yeah. So I really enjoyed that. It was great. Wayne Rooney is now going to manage Plymouth. Don't know if you'd heard, but he's gone to Plymouth.
So they're getting relegated.
Which, possibly. Probably.
Yeah.
Yes. So Wayne Rooney going to Plymouth. Does that, or does it not, negate Sol Campbell's argument that white players always get the good jobs? Because Plymouth, to be fair to them, they're not exactly Premier League.
I'm going to say one thing about Plymouth. They have a phenomenal support. They really do. And they don't deserve to have Rooney. Because that is a punishment that they just do not deserve. So, for all the Plymouth listeners, if you are out there, you have my deepest sympathy. You really do.
I don't think Rooney's a great manager.
But hopefully, like we did for the Blues, we'll get him sacked for you next season. We'll do our best.
Well.
Okay, so on this whole... This is going to get me some hate mail, I reckon. On the whole racial thing, I have this issue with it. And I'm a firm believer in it's the best man for the job. I don't give a shit what colour you are. If you're fucking green, I don't care. If you can do the job right, you can do the job right. So I think if Sol Campbell was a better manager, he might get a better job. But was it Notts County you went to and didn't do anything? Macclesfield Town didn't do anything.
Well,
so
Macclesfield.
Yeah.
Right, he was struggling at Macclesfield when we got promoted to League 2. John Askey got us promoted. And then John Askey got poached and obviously wasn't being paid by Amar at the time. So we got in Sol Campbell because I think just because he was a name, a massive name in football, don't get me wrong. But we had a really ropey start. Now, this was a season where you'd been with me to Macclesfield's ground to watch them. And we watched a young man called Elliot Jarrell.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Now, at the point where people were lauding Sol Campbell for doing really well was, funnily enough, the exact moment Elliot Jarrell recovered from injury.
Ah.
And I'm like, everyone's praising Sol Campbell for this turnaround. But it's Elliot Jarrell that's done all the work.
Yeah, he
was outstanding. Don't get me wrong, Mac had some good players at the time. Fitz, the left back, was superb.
Yeah.
And we'd got Scott Wilson up front, who was a great striker. Tyrone as well up front, he was really good.
He was good. Yeah,
but
he was good.
Jarrell in particular was a warrior.
Yeah, he just drilled and
And he's the sort of player that picks everybody else up and makes everybody feel better.
He was an on-field leader. That's what I liked.
Yeah,
he was
100%.
very vocal, led by example, and he scored in the what was it, 93rd minute or something absolutely.
Do you remember
ridiculous.
that game when we
Oh,
went?
yeah, absolutely.
And we were sat in the stands, right? And me and Tin Ribs both looked at Elliot Jarrell, and we're like, "Have you seen number 7?" And Tim went, "Yeah, he looks knackered, doesn't he?" And this was in about the 65th,
Mate,
70th
blowing
minute,
out his
something like that.
arse.
And he looked absolutely knackered. We're like, they're going to bring him off soon, I think. And then in the 93rd minute, he sprinted like 80 yards from one side of the pitch, right diagonally over to the other, dispossessed somebody, crossed it in for a goal.
Yeah.
We're like, where the hell did that energy come
But
from?
he just kept going and going and going and going, and that was he was.
Incredible.
I rate him. I thought he was a great player.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think going back to the point, if you're doing a good job, or you've got the credentials, or you've got a good history, then you've got an argument for this and that. But I'm also going to point to another manager of colour, and I'm going to point to Paul Ince, a fantastic player.
Amazing.
I mean, like, right up there with the greats.
We're aware West Ham fans probably won't feel that way as he
Yeah.
posed in a United shirt while he was still contracted to West Ham.
Yes. But not a very good manager.
No.
Shocking at Blackburn. Was it
He was at Macclesfield.
Yeah, he was at Maxfield.
Yeah.
But he was also at Milton Keynes.
Mm-hmm.
For what? What's he done? Nothing. Now, it's all good saying that they don't get the chance. And yet, Jimmy Ford Hasselbank is doing a very good job at Burton.
I think he's a really good manager.
I
you
do.
know.
He is.
I think he's
And
a
there's a
great
reason
manager.
he gets linked with big jobs. And I'm going to bring up another one. And this is when we were talking last week, and I was saying it's about styles and stuff. Company might not have been first choice, but if he can get his style of play at Bayern Munich, they could be very good, and he could prove all the doubters wrong. And in fact, I might even put a bet on because I believe in him. I think he can do it. So, there you go. There's two examples of managers of colour who are doing well. I think Sol Campbell is using the race card to gain sympathy for his own failures. He was a phenomenal player,
Amazing.
but he's just not a very good manager. But
then he was never snubbed anywhere as a player.
no.
Okay, Tottenham give him a lot of hassle, but that wasn't a colour thing. That was you left Tottenham
Yeah, you
for
went to
free
Arsenal.
as their captain and went to Arsenal.
Yeah.
His reasons for leaving, he wanted to win trophies. Fair enough. If you don't believe your team's going to win trophies and you want to go to a team that you do think is going to win trophies, I've got a very biased view of this because I'm the Arsenal fan that received Sol Campbell and he was top 3 defenders in the world at the time. In my opinion, I think he was superb. An amazing defender.
I would probably say he was, at that time, in the argument for the best centre-back in the Premier League.
Oh, he's 100%, yeah.
Possibly the best in Europe.
Which,
I mean, there are some...
which by proxy would make him the best in the world because Europe has got all the best footballers in the
So,
world.
I mean, there were some really good players at the time. So, saying he was the best is not...
But you've got some hell of a defence in Italy, haven't you?
Yeah.
At that sort of time.
Yeah.
Was it Cannavaro?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, like Maldini, Nesta. I mean, there's some... But Sol Campbell was up there.
Yeah,
He was
absolutely.
in that conversation.
But that's what I'm saying. So in that conversation of who are the best in Europe, he was there. So as a player, he was phenomenal. He was one of my favourites for England. I wanted him on the pitch every game. He was just so good. So on that note, he was amazing. He's just not a good manager. And to try and twist it that he's not getting the opportunity for that reason, for me, I find sickening. Maybe he needs to, you know the term, earn your stripes.
Yes.
Like McKenna. Everyone's banging on about McKenna now. He earned his stripes. He went down to League One and turned a team around in 2 seasons and has them in the Premiership.
He's now being touted by everybody.
Of course he is. And rightfully so. I don't think he should leave, and he has just signed a new contract. But my point stands. Sol Campbell has failed to cut his teeth in the lower divisions, even in non-league.
I would agree.
So how has he got the right to stand there saying, I should be given a big team? There are
Vieira went over to America.
Mhm.
Then he went to France with
Mhm.
a smaller team.
Yep.
Then he got Palace.
Yep. You know
Worked
what?
his way up. Do you know who failed as a manager? And in my opinion, for a long time, was the best player in the world, Thierry Henry.
Yeah.
Couldn't cut it as a manager.
Good assistant, though.
Great assistant. Fantastic assistant. But struggled as a manager.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But Vieira, when Leeds got touted with him, when we were sort of doing the whole juggling, I did not want him. But one thing I will say was the Crystal Palace team that he was in charge of looked good.
Yeah, they did.
And he will be in another job soon.
Yeah, I don't know what happens with sack managers, because I think they still get paid on gardening leave, don't they?
If they
for
go
a
and join
while?
another club, they get it stops.
I believe that phrase was
coined
by Simon Jordan.
It was.
And he introduced it for,
Steve Bruce.
was it Dowie? Oh no,
Steve
Bruce. Steve Bruce, because Steve Bruce upset him, so he's like, well, I'll just put you on gardening leave and we'll go to court, we'll sort it, but you're contracted to me and that's
'cause
how it'll remain.
It was to do with the Blues, the whole.
Yeah, and then he basically said, well, I'm not going to pay you off if you go to another team.
Yeah.
That's fine. If you want to leave, that's great. Go.
I'm not paying you.
But the money stops.
Yeah.
So I think, he did do a good thing.
I do think that the whole he's not getting it because he's black is...
I think that's quite insulting to the owners.
Yeah.
Because you've got owners that have had managers of colour. So for you to say, well, you're not hiring me because I'm black, it's like, well, they've had black managers. They've got how many black players?
Yeah.
You don't see them all on the transfer list.
No.
It's just... Yeah. I do think it's an ability thing. And maybe...
I just find it
maybe
sad.
nobody wants to say it, but perhaps it's an attitude thing when you're in your interview.
But that's what I was about to say. I find it sad that a person of his calibre, someone who is so great, is resorting to that tactic.
Yeah.
Rather than, again, cut your teeth somewhere else. Find a team that wants you. Find someone at the lower tier. Prove yourself.
Yeah.
Because everybody, even Alex Ferguson, had to start in that non-league team, the Scottish Premiership with Aberdeen. You know, he had to start at like grassroots because.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I couldn't resist.
Harsh. Right, I think what we're going to do at 43 minutes.
Wow.
We're going to take a break. Sorry, Dean. I know you like it to be around 30 for your car journey. So apologies for that, but we're going to go to a break now. And we shall be back with you, beautiful people, very shortly. Hello, and welcome back from the break. We are just going to continue with news, opinions, thoughts. This is what a lot of the football break is going to be. I've had a suggestion, though, partly because you are constantly sending memes into the group. Is that we pick a week and we have like a meme-only week.
Okay.
Where we talk about memes, post the pictures on the YouTube channel, and we discuss which memes are funny, which are accurate, and which are just dog mess.
Yeah,
which I didn't think was a bad idea, to be honest. We just do football memes only.
I don't apologise for the amount of memes I spam you with.
Well, I don't now because it's given us a great idea. So we can do a show where we just do memes. We'll post them all and rate them, basically, on how good, accurate, or dog mess they are.
Yeah, fair.
So, yeah. Anyway, the next bit of news I had that we didn't get to was Leicester were looking at Enzo Maresco. No, Leicester manager Enzo Maresco was
Chelsea.
being looked at by Chelsea, but it's now been confirmed.
Yeah.
So he's actually at Chelsea. Do you think that is a good move for Chelsea and
No.
Enzo? Do you think it's a good move for Enzo?
No.
Any of them? Do you think it's bad for both?
I think, yes. He's bad for both. So, he should have stayed at Leicester.
Okay.
But I think it's bad for Chelsea because what you got to realise is when he went to Leicester, I mean, the guy's an arrogant prick, so I can't stand him anyway. But
I wish you'd tell me how you really felt.
yeah, I know. Yeah. I can't help it. I have to bottle up inside. The problem I've got with it is he had a Leicester side that by rights should have set new records. Every other team that went down got ripped to pieces. Leeds got ripped to pieces. We spent the first 5 games in absolute turmoil. We had to bring it back. Southampton, turmoil.
They lost a lot of players as well, didn't they?
Absolutely. Leicester lost no one. They had a Premier League team. They had this super manager. And they nearly fucking bottled it. What you got to realise is if the international break hadn't fucked Leeds up, we'd have actually won the league. They were in free fall and fucked up. He didn't do a good job. He bottled it.
So you don't think going Chelsea then is good for him?
No, because Chelsea are not a team that need a bottle job. Pochettino finally got them singing a good tune at the end. They were horrendous at the start. They're basically going back to square one. Todd Bowley's obviously got his way of dealing with players and buying players, and they seem to be trying to buy just whoever everybody else fancies. Is he going to work with that? The expectation's going to be top 4. The expectation's going to be a title rush. And he nearly bottled the fucking championship with a team that was set to win it.
Well, Chelsea with Poch.
Yeah.
This is what I was looking at my phone for.
Okay.
So their last 6 games in the Premier League, they drew 2-2 with Chelsea.
Yeah.
They drew 2-2 with Villa, sorry. They beat Spurs 2-0, beat West Ham 5-0, beat Forest 3-2, beat Brighton 2-1, and beat Bournemouth 2-1. So they won 5 out of their last 6 games.
Yep.
That's not sacking material. I mean, okay, they got taken apart 5-0 by Arsenal, but Arsenal did that
At
to
that time,
a few teams.
Yeah.
They then got beat before that in the FA Cup by Man City. Hardly any shame. They lost 1-0.
Yeah, but can I just point out, in that game, they were fucking unlucky.
Very unlucky. That's hardly sackable material.
I don't think it was form.
Before that, they beat Everton 6-0.
Yeah.
Drew 2-2 with Sheffield United. That was a bit of a shocker. Beat Man United 4-3.
What a game that
Beat
was.
Leicester 4-2. Beat Newcastle 3-2. That's not like
It's not a form
they
thing.
sacked him for that.
No, they didn't. They sacked him because he's had an issue with the backstab. Again, Todd Bowley's got his way of doing it. Look, let's look at Brighton, right? They have a way of recruiting. And obviously...
A good way of recruiting as well.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's amazing.
And obviously, the reason De Serbi's gone is because he didn't agree with it or he wanted to do something his own way, and they've just gone, no, piss off. This is how we do it. And I think Todd Bowley has got his way of doing it.
Yeah.
And I think Pochettino doesn't agree with that. And I think there was a conflict
might be right.
there, and that's why he's gone. I genuinely think it's a conflict between owner and manager. So,
I still think it's shocking, but...
Well, that's it. But I don't think it's a good appointment. I genuinely don't think it's a good appointment.
I'll have to take your word for that, because as much as I agree with what you're saying about Leicester last year, I don't know enough about him. And Chelsea, for me, were decent under Poch.
Mm-hmm.
So I think anyone going in now is going to struggle, because the players are not only going to be confused, but some of them may even be a little bit annoyed.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have players like Raheem Sterling didn't play. So somebody took his spot, Mudrick. He's now going to be thinking, well, am I going to lose my spot again? Yeah. Palmer may... I mean, if someone's going to be stupid enough to drop Palmer, then you deserve sacking on day one. But Palmer may even be sat there thinking, are they going to respect me the same way Poch did?
Mm-hmm.
Nicholas Jackson, another one who could quite easily lose his position because he's not that great up front. So he could then be thinking, I'm not happy about this because I was guaranteed under Poch. Now I could be sold.
Yeah.
So there could be a lot of damage done by that one sacking.
Yeah.
So I think
I don't
bit
think
risky.
he's.
And to take on, for me, an unknown. He's never managed in the Premier League.
Nope.
And he's never managed players of that ego. £100 million central midfielder. Nicholas Jackson's clearly got a massive ego on the pitch. Mudryk, I don't think wanted to go to Chelsea in the first place, if I'm honest. I think that's more of his agent than it was him. That's going to be a battle for any manager going in, certainly for an unknown Premier League entity.
Yeah.
Burnley, who they've been linked with?
Oh, go on.
Super Frank. I assume you don't think that's a good idea, given the fact that you've just nearly choked laughing. Lampard has been linked with Burnley.
Please do.
Yeah, you want Burnley to go down again, then? I don't think Lampard's a great manager.
No, he's not.
Don't think he's a great
Going
manager.
on to the whole Sol Campbell thing, it's just there are so many pointers that just because you're a great player doesn't mean you're a good manager. Gerrard, Lampard, they're just two. Rooney, these are phenomenal players.
Jerry.
Okay, hang on. Let me take it back. Phenomenal players. I don't rate Gerrard, but okay.
Okay. Apart from Gerrard.
Yeah. So apart from Gerrard.
Amazing players.
Yeah. And then you got, again, you just said Henry.
Not a good manager.
Not a good manager. Great number
Player in the
two.
world.
Great number two. Not a great number one. And the thing is, these are players who were possibly in the class of world class.
Yeah.
And they're not good managers. So I don't think sometimes your argument has any levity to it just by going, oh, I'm not getting my chance because I'm of a colour or something like that. It's just, no, you're just not good enough. Sorry. But it does amaze me how sometimes these people get opportunities that you just think, why?
No, I to a degree, I definitely agree.
But no, Frank to Burnley's hilarious and I welcome it.
I've heard no confirmation about that, but he's definitely been linked. I've also heard through the grapevine that Arsenal is still linked with Rashford, but no longer in a swap deal with Smith Rowe.
Oh.
We just want to buy him.
Okay.
Now, for me, a lot of that depends on price.
Depends how much money you want.
Now, if they want 60, 70 million for Rashford,
no,
I wouldn't even sit in the boardroom. I'd get up and walk out. If they want 30 million for Rashford, I'd consider it.
Yeah. I was going to say, do you think they'd take 10 million a packet of chips?
They probably wouldn't want the chips.
Probably, yeah.
Because they're already full of their own ego.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Rashford's now going to be cash only. And as long as it doesn't go above 30 million, I would probably be okay with it. Any more than that, I don't think you should go ahead with it. Hans Flick is the new Barcelona manager. Quite a quick appointment after Xavi. So what I think has happened is Xavi's gone, I want to leave. And Barca have gone, we need to do something about this quick.
Yeah.
So they've gone out and found a replacement.
But that's what I said last week, wasn't it? That
Yeah,
he's
100%, yeah.
He's done the whole I'm leaving, so they've
Yep.
made a backup plan.
Yeah.
And then he's changed his mind, and they've gone, oh, shit.
Bit late now. We've got a verbal agreement in place and we can't go back on it.
Yep.
We're Barcelona. We've told somebody, verbally we agree.
Yep.
We can't now look like mugs. So sorry.
Goodbye.
You've made your bed.
Yeah.
Simple as that. You've made your bed. We're going with somebody else. So Hansi Flick has been taken on as the new Barcelona manager.
Good manager.
Very quick appointment, which does suggest that when Xavi spit his dummy out, Barca just went, okay, we'll find someone.
And also, it's
And
this
they did.
whole, and it's the whole who's available. And when you've got someone like Flick available,
Good manager.
you have to jump on. You know what I mean? You can't wait around. I mean, who'd have thought that at this point now you'd have the likes of Pochettino. Okay, he's just gone to Fenerbahce, but you had Pochettino, Mourinho, potentially Ten Hag, all sitting around jobless.
Mm-hmm.
Who thought at this point? But
It's amazing.
when Barcelona were putting this into place, Flick was available. You got to take it. You can't sit. Look
When you've got your manager saying I'm leaving,
Yeah.
you have to get some
Yeah.
sort of verbal agreement
Look
in
at-
place.
Look at Bayern Munich. They had to go for their 8th place
That was incredible. wasn't it?
choice purely because the others aren't available.
Yeah, and didn't want to leave.
No.
They were happy where they were.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's shocking, really. But Xavi's fault. Had he not said, I want to leave, they probably wouldn't have bothered looking, and he'd still be there anyway. Now, the biggest joke of this week is after Bruno Guimaraes WWE'd Jorginho, after admittedly Havertz should have been sent off.
Yeah.
We've been linked with him, which I don't think he starts for Arsenal anyway. But they've put a price tag. Have you heard?
No.
100 million. Now, if that's 100 million pence, okay. But it's 100 million pounds sterling.
Yeah.
100 million.
Okay. I disagree that he isn't a starter. I think he potentially could be.
Ahead of.
Jorginho?
He's not a DM.
Yeah, but you can
That
work
would
it.
mean pulling Rice back to DM to put Bruno on.
Yep.
I don't think it's worth losing what Rice gives you.
Fair enough.
Archie Gray, yes.
Yeah.
I'd let them swap.
But what I mean is there is that possibility.
There's potential, I guess.
So
I still don't think he starts.
That's fair. But I think he's in the conversation.
Okay.
But 100 million, I don't think is anywhere near the conversation.
Now, what figure would you be thinking for Bruno Guimaraes?
They paid 35, didn't they, for him?
I don't know.
I think it was something like
I'm going for
that. I'd probably say in the ballpark of 45, 50.
45.50 is the exact figure I was thinking.
Mm.
So I just wondered where your numbers would be at.
That's where I'd be at him. I think
45.50 is exactly... Well, 50 was my ceiling.
Yeah.
50 million for him was my ceiling.
That's where I'd be going in.
But 100 million for Guimaraes. Are you telling me he's anywhere near Rice?
No.
Because he costs 100 million. Jadon Sancho is to return to Man United.
Yep.
After his last game for Dortmund. Nothing official has been said on what happens next. I don't think he can stay at Man United.
Why not?
Because if Ten Hag's staying...
But if...
We don't think... But this is the thing. There's no what happens next. United, a team of Man United's size, or a club, should I say, of Man United's size, not rubber stamping what's happening with their manager, that, by the way, has just won an FA Cup, and last season won a League Cup, I think is embarrassing. The state of the stadium is embarrassing. The state of the dressing room appears to be embarrassing.
I don't know. I quite like the Old Trafford Falls. I was thinking like getting some photos. And
that depends whether you got tickets to the shallow end or the deep end, though, doesn't it? I suppose. I think it's shocking that a club of their size, hasn't rubber stamped what's going. I mean, it needs to be sorted. The Euros are coming up. Nothing happens during the Euros.
Yeah, but that's
we're looking at such and such. We'll be talking to him at the end of the Euros. Nothing happens once that kicks off.
No.
So get your shit together. Get your ducks in a row now.
I think it possibly is already. Again, we're in that sort of position of what managers are available. Who do you replace him with? Now,
do you want to replace him? He's a winner.
I like him.
He won last year and he won this year.
No, but I like Ten Hag. I don't think he's doing a bad job. I
would agree.
I think the changing room is. Well, I've said this. I've said this since the start. Now, Sir Jim has stated that there's only 3 players not for sale. I don't know who those 3 players are because he didn't say, but he's stated only 3 players are not for sale. I honestly think if they managed to get their whole house clear out and bring in the right players, Ten Hag could be a force.
I would agree. I think he's a good manager.
Well, he masterminded a 2-1 against Man City.
Well, it's not even that. Like I say, he's won 2 trophies in 2 years. Like anyone that thinks that's a bad record, Arteta's being lauded for winning nothing.
Mm. Yeah.
Absolutely nothing Arteta's won. And he's being lauded by some.
Yeah.
Not me.
No.
I think he's done a good job. I think we're over-egging it a little bit on how good he's done, because we collapsed last season.
Yeah.
Like, we were 8 points clear in March. The beginning of March, we're 8 points clear. All we had to do was not turn into Spurs. We turned into Spurs. And then this season, albeit you can't say, for me, you can't say they bottled it.
No, they didn't.
Because they won like 15 of the last 16 games or something.
They didn't bottle it. They were just chased down by Man City.
No, we won 14 of the last 16. Because one we drew against City where we didn't attempt to win the game. And we got beat by Villa. Twice, by the way. But we got beat by Villa in the second game, which for me is where... is not where we lost the title. Where we lost the title was losing against Fulham at the end of December.
Yeah.
And getting spanked by Liverpool when we were all over them. We battered Liverpool that day. Battered them. Possession stats, passing stats, through ball stats, whatever stat you want to... And this is why I'm not a big fan of stats. Because you can make them look however you want. Because on paper, we annihilated Liverpool. But they were more clinical on the day. So stats don't mean anything to me. So that's where we lost it. Was not being clinical against Liverpool and just falling apart against Fulham. I don't know what happened when we played Fulham.
Like I say, I don't think you didn't bottle it. I just think you were chased down by a Man City team. They're just,
I mean, it's that second half of the season, and it's City are just awesome.
Yeah.
And they know what they're doing.
Slow
and they do it
beginners
well.
every year. Every year. And everyone's like, oh, they look shaky. They look shaky every year.
Yeah. Come January, everyone's thinking, oh, City might fail this year. Have you learned nothing? They've won 6 out of 7 for a reason.
Yeah.
I mean, it is making the Premier League a little boring for me, but it is what it is. Somebody's got to catch them. And I'm not sure whether it's going to be us or not. I have heard this week that Mbappe to Real Madrid is done, bar the singing.
No, it was confirmed
Have they
today.
confirmed it today?
I think so. Hold on. It was all over Sky Sports.
See, I got my news yesterday.
Oh, no. Sorry. Rugby legend Burrow has died. He was the one that Sinfield was doing all the runs for and stuff.
Oh, sucks.
Age 41. That's really sad.
That's not good.
Sorry. Real Madrid to announce French forward this week. 85 million bonuses.
Free transfer. Free.
Mind blowing.
Free transfer. This is what people don't understand. When he was being linked to Arsenal and the Arsenal fans were going, oh, I'll have Kylian Mbappe for free. He's not free. No. That money will be going to him. Goal bonuses, attendance bonuses, being French bonuses, whatever bonuses he wants to put in his contract, he'll get them. So, yeah, a bit of a joke. But, yeah, I heard yesterday that it's basically done by the singing. They just need to come out and holler at everybody.
Deal. But he kind of announced he was going, and he's been saying for a long time that he only wants to play for Real Madrid.
He's been saying for years, the only team I want to play for is Real Madrid. Why was he being linked to anybody else?
Yeah.
He was pretty clear in the fact he didn't want to play for anybody else. I want to play for Real Madrid. And Real Madrid are going, we want him to play here. Kylian Mbappe's gone to Real Madrid.
Shock.
I am stunned. You've knocked me to the floor. So, yeah, Mbappe to Madrid just needs to be announced. You've just read exactly the same thing, so we imagine that will probably be announced by Thursday. Jose Mourinho has got a new job.
I know,
Fenerbahce.
Interesting.
I wonder if that's one of the 40 languages he already speaks. Because he's quite learned, isn't he? He's got a lot of languages under his belt. I liked his interviews.
This football can be a bit tired.
Yeah, I think it's foreign.
He should have been the new Southampton manager after that. Never mind.
Wow. Wow. You listening, Jim? No.
No.
It's not at all.
Oh, brilliant.
So, yeah, have you got any other news?
Yes,
any
I do have one piece.
Opinions?
Just one. In the whole financial fair play and all that bollocks. So Leeds are supposedly in multi-millions of debt. But that's not taking into account any of our transfers that we've already done. Basically, we owe money on players that we haven't paid for. That's the debt that we've got.
Right, okay.
So our new owner has come out and said we do have to be clever in the transfer market. We can't just splash the cash.
Yeah.
But when you look at the players we've still got to go out, we've probably got, even if we sell them at a budget, the ones that we desperately want to get rid of, the loanees, the rats that ran off from the sinking ship.
The rats.
There's easy 45 million there. Easy.
Okay.
Now, don't get me wrong, one or two of them, they wanted to stay, but for financial reasons, we had to let them go. For example, Woba took a lot of shit off the fans, but when the dust had settled from going, because he'd openly stated, I'm going to stay. But then, in order to bring in the likes of Rodon, make the Ampadu signing, we had to let him go financially.
Okay.
His wages were too big. One player for two. Makes sense.
Yeah.
So he reluctantly went, but it is what it is. So there's a lot of players we let go on wage cap removal on loan, but they've all got to go somewhere. Now, whether we let them go on the cheap, free, the money we save on their wages is big. The sales that we'll get, I reckon we could get 30, 45 million for them, which pretty much sums up what's kind of left. I think that there's some that was batted around, was like when you sort of take out the Sinisterra sale, the Tyler Adams sale, the fact that the Rafinha sales still sort of like churning over a little bit, and same with Calvin Phillips. I think there was like, we have to make 75 million or something. There's rumours we're going to let Bamford go because there's a sick note and he's one of our highest earners.
We'll help you on wages.
Yeah. We lost Dallas due to retirement and injury. He was quite a big earner. Aylin's gone. Absolutely gutted. But all the best for Middlesbrough. Looking like Liam Cooper's going because he's out of contract.
Yep.
Well, I'm trying to get tickets for his testimonial because he's going to get one. And rightfully so. He deserves one.
Yep.
So we are, we're looking. There's a lot of players going out. I don't think Sam Byram will get under the contract an extension. He only had a 1 year, and unfortunately, he's been a bit injury prone. And I think
you quite liked him, didn't you, when you first signed him?
I do like Sam Byram, always have, and it was nice to see him come in, and he was the player we needed. But back at the end of the season, a lot of injuries, and he just became redundant. Hopefully, get rid of Firpo. It's probably 10 million.
You really liked him, didn't you? Because I could tell during the championship final, you were a big fan of Firpo.
Oh, yeah.
You did nothing but slag it. You did nothing but praise him from minute one.
Yeah. Then you've got the likes of Harrison, Anonto. Please, go.
Yeah, I was a fan of Nonto. I quite liked him.
On his
and then
day,
I've watched a few games now, like the championship final, where he should have come off in the 20th minute because it was pretty clear early on that he just wasn't going to bother.
Yeah. So the problem, Nonto, when he's on it, is unreal. But he's a young lad, and when his head goes down, he can't get it back up. So you saw the challenge early in. That was a foul that wasn't given.
Yes.
Because we weren't getting anything.
And it was a foul.
Yeah. And you saw him with his smile and his pleas, and his head went. And then for the next 10 minutes, he was shit. And that's when they should have took him off.
Shocking.
And it just spirals, and he just spirals. You can't, once his head's gone down, his head's down, that's it. He doesn't. And unfortunately for me, he's not hot anywhere near much as he's cold. And unlike, I'm going to use an Arsenal legend, Freddie Ljungberg. When he was hot, fuck me, he was good.
Yeah.
When he was cold and having a bit of an off day, he was still good, but you could see the difference. But he was still
just a couple of yards off it.
Yeah. Anonto, when he's cold, is a couple of miles off it.
Yeah,
and he just doesn't have enough hot days for me. So, as much as I love his enthusiasm, I like him as a person, I just think we could have someone better. Or Dan James. Just put Dan James. I mean, Dan James. Did you see the?
Dan James?
Did I send you the picture of the?
Yeah,
Mate.
his injury. That was pretty bad. That was.
Because I know I had the one. I sent you one with stitches, but did I send you the one where he's lying on the floor and you can see it?
Yeah.
I mean, put it all on
Bad.
the line. Put it all on the line. And that's I. For a few years, I wasn't his biggest fan. I thought he was a bit.
I'll send them both through again.
But the last time, this season, he has just been so good for us. So keep him. Somerville, we'll see what happens with him. I'd like to think like last season where he decided to stay, it was his choice. Be nice to see him do that again, but maybe not. But we've got all these like potential players. I mean, at the end of the day, someone comes in for Archie Gray, we have the ability to stand there and go 18 million or piss off.
Arsenal, are you listening? Are you listening? We could get rid of Party.
Edu, if you're listening.
Yeah,
fuck
Edu.
off.
Have a listen.
But yeah, so, we've got power to financially. But everyone's going on about how much we owe. We have just made the largest single financial sponsorship deal of the English Football League history.
You managed to get a full £1.
Yes.
Wicked.
No. So the rumours are, Red Bull have
with
bought.
Red Bull. I was going to say, who's it with?
Yeah. So Red Bull have bought small minor stakes in the club.
Okay.
With the exact wording is they have no say on the badge, no say on any form of brand naming.
Right.
So they can't
name the stadium.
They're not going to name the stadium. They're not going to rename the team to Red Bull Leeds, and they're not going to have Red Bull on the badge.
Okay.
So their Red Bull connections, New York, Leipzig, Salzburg, not that.
Okay.
They have a minor stake. So we've gained financials from them buying into the club. That generates revenue.
Right. You've also got Will Ferrell that's bought into the club as well.
Oh, we won't go into that one. Red Bull are also the shirt sponsor in a deal that is rumoured to be, and this is coming from Phil Hay, who is a very reliable Leeds source from the Yorkshire Evening Post, rumoured to be in the region of 100 million. That's just a shirt.
So they've bought into the club
and then sponsored
them 100 million. There's just a slither of Man City in here.
Yeah.
Where they're trying to work their way around the FFP a little bit.
Maybe a little bit, but because they're not buying a significant amount, they're just investors. There's no ownership. They're investors.
That's a heavy investment.
100 million.
I would like to apologise though. I've hit my beam twice now. I've hit the mic arm twice and it does like go ting, and I've heard it in the headset. So if that's irritating anyone, sorry, but I'm fat and I get in my own way occasionally.
But yeah,
but yeah, that hints of trying to get round FFP somewhat.
It does a little bit.
It does make sense. It makes sense in a lot of ways because obviously Red Bull, they're a multi-billion-pound company anyway, but they can write most of that off in tax anyway.
Absolutely.
But Leeds benefit on the books, so they can write a lot of their errors off.
Yep.
With that 100 million.
So I think going on that, a lot of this financial worry.
How many years is that 100 million for?
They're saying between 3 and 5.
I was going to say because there's no way it's 1.
No, it's between 3 and 5 apparently. But Red Bull have been trying to get their hands on Leeds for a very long time, and I think the 49ers have said, "Look, you can have a taste, but you're not having it."
That's fair enough, though.
Yeah.
I think as long as you stay within your FFP and you get rid of some of your deadwood,
definitely,
and make good signings, and that's for me the key.
Yeah.
Is for Leeds to make good signings. I don't think you'll have much problem going straight up. But
the bookies have already installed us as favourite.
And I agree with it. But my issue is, if you struggle this season, I think you could fall back into that trap of becoming a championship team.
I think it is this season. This is the season that's going to...
I think you have to this year.
Yeah.
Because if this season's a flop, I think you're in trouble.
Oh, this season's a flop, we're doomed.
Yeah, I think you could go back to what you were before you got your promotion, like, and
16
just be
years.
languishing in there for a long, long time. Which, okay, nobody by proxy deserves to be in the Premier League, but the Premier League with Leeds,
yeah,
you know, it's nice to have them in there.
I mean, yeah, I hate the whole like a club should be there thing because you're there by your merit, not what you're worth.
Yeah.
But when you consider that Leeds were, what was it in that? Hold on 1 second, I do kind of have it to hand. In this year's shirt sales for Europe, we were 16th.
In Europe?
In Europe.
Jesus.
And the other good one, and this is a great shout out for Celtic. So Celtic, well done. Celtic was 17th. It's the first time in something like 10 years that Celtic have, or any Scottish team, has featured in the top 20.
Wow.
Did
they reduce the shirts?
No, they've actually done 34 million euros
Jesus.
in shirt sales.
That's
but yeah,
good.
So when you think that outside of the big six, we were 7th in the English sales.
That's crazy. Isn't it?
So with that statement, I don't believe for 1 second that any team should be given a God-given right to be in the Premier League.
No, and I agree with that.
But when you sort of look at how big the club is, you kind of go, they need to be there for the profile of the Premier League.
I would agree with that.
And that's just, I'm going to say this, Nottingham Forest should be there because the profile of Nottingham Forest is insane.
Yeah, I mean...
Don't get me wrong, it is from the Clough era.
Yeah, but you're talking 70s, aren't you?
Yeah, but hang on. If we're going to start talking about clubs on their stature and Tottenham are in there, when was the last time
Tottenham are not
exactly.
in there? Tottenham are not in there.
But they're classed as in the big six.
No.
So the Premier League needs, for profile purposes, in my opinion, clubs like Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest, because they are huge. They're world renowned. You can go to any country that watches any form of football, go to Brazil and say, Forest. And they'll be like, yeah. But then you go there and go, Luton. And they go, huh?
Yeah, that's true. I don't think Tottenham are 6. I just don't. I really don't. But then, to be fair, I don't think Arsenal were for a few years, not long ago.
The biggest one for me is in the whole, like, where, I mean, they've been called the Big Six for too long now. I think they need reevaluating because when the Premier League was built, it was built on the Big Five. And one of those Big Five are in so much financial turmoil right now, I'm hoping they get relegated.
Everton. For those that are unsure, he's on about Everton.
I was going to, yeah. Everton. They were one of the Big Five.
Yeah,
and now
they were one of the main 5, yeah.
Absolutely. So, on that note, I think it's time we had a reevaluation of the Big Six.
Hadn't it been like 26 years since United had won a title when the Premier League started? They won the first one. They won 3 of the first 4 or something like that, or 2 of the first 3 or something. They won a lot. But up until the Premier League formed, they hadn't won for like 26, 27 years or something.
I don't know.
They've been crazy. I mean, we're pushing that now. We're on 20 years this year since we last won the trophy.
That's insane.
It's crazy, isn't it? Like, there's been an entire lifetime. But I can sit here and say I've seen my team lift the Premier League trophy.
Yeah.
I've seen my team win in Europe, albeit it was 96 or whatever it was, against Galatasaray, or they were the ones that beat us with Naeem. It was a long time ago. I was still in school. But I've seen us win in Europe. I've seen us win the Premier League. I've seen us win the League Cup, albeit in 93 against Sheffield Wednesday, who we also beat in the FA Cup in the same year. So I've seen my team lift all these trophies. So when people go on about like the biggest teams in in the country,
Yeah.
I can say, well, yeah, I do feel like we're one of the biggest and one of the best because I've seen my team win all them trophies. Now, when you've got somebody who's 40 and they go, well, my team's one of the biggest in the country. Well, what have you seen your team lift? The League Cup. Once. What does that make you one of the biggest clubs? So Leicester are one of the biggest teams in the world, Dan, because they've won the Premier League and they've won the FA Cup.
Yeah.
So do you know what I mean? I think for me, winning comes down to trophies. Like when Yov asked me last week, he said, "Who's had the better season this season, Man United or Arsenal?"
Man United.
Man United, because they've won a trophy.
Yeah.
He said, well, okay, Liverpool and Arsenal. Well, Liverpool, it might be the League Cup, but they've won a trophy.
Yeah.
Liverpool have had the better season for me because they've won a trophy. I want to see Arsenal win a trophy. I don't want to see us gallantly finishing second.
Yeah.
What? So, Leeds get promoted, right, next season.
Yeah.
And the season after, you finish second. Great, you're in the Champions League. Then you get relegated. What does that second mean? Nothing.
For one season, we were decent.
That's all it means. So for 2 seasons, Arsenal have been decent.
Yeah.
We've got the balls to call ourselves the best team in the league. No.
Well, the best team in the league lifted the trophy.
And the best teams in their respective competitions lifted their trophies. As much as I don't like to admit it, Liverpool were the best in the Carabao Cup and United were the best in the FA Cup. And to be fair, they played a very good final.
That game against Liverpool was so good as a neutral.
They struggled against Liverpool, but made me laugh at the same time. It was great.
Yeah, but that game was great as a neutral.
Do you know our shorts reaction to that goal got a lot of traction? Because there's like Jim Jam, just like there's you screaming yes. There's me just sat there going yeah, and then Jim Jam jumped up and legged it across your living room. That was a fun game. That was.
So, just to recap very quickly on the what the point we were going for the odds. Now, keep in mind, the bookies always have the house.
Oh yeah.
Leeds are installed at this moment at 11-10.
That is incredibly short odds for a league.
Yeah. Burnley is second, 9-4.
That's normally what the favourites are.
Yeah. Luton, 7-2.
Are Luton going to be that great this year? I'm not sure about them, you know.
I think
they could be.
I hope so.
I'd like to see them fighting at least.
Yeah, but I don't know. Then you've got this is where it really, really like wow for me. Middlesbrough 4-1.
That's pretty short.
Yeah. So keep in mind we're 4 teams deep here.
It's still only 4-1.
Yeah, but what I mean is there's only 2 teams that came down at the moment. We're 4 teams deep out of the 3 teams that came down. Then you've got Coventry, which are 9-2.
Right.
West Brom 5-1. Norwich 5-1.
Poor old
Sheffield United at 5-1. This is only promotion.
Oh, this isn't league.
Yeah,
I was going to say that's incredibly short odds for
either way. Still, yeah. Hull 6-1, and then for some reason, this is the one that it really interested me, and I want to know why. Stoke City at 7-1. Stoke City barely fucking stayed up.
I know, yeah.
Why are they 7-1?
Somebody knows something we don't.
And the best part was that 11-10 on Leeds. These are the odds. One day before our big financial Red Bull deal announcement.
Yeah, that might have added.
What do the bookies know?
Likeliness.
But what do the bookies know? And why is Stoke 7-1?
The bookies know about Stoke because Bet365 sponsor them. So the bookies definitely know about Stoke. There's something maybe that we don't know that they do.
Yeah.
Maybe Bet365 are going to come out and say, "Oh, we'll give you millions and millions of pounds to sponsor you." Who knows? But I mean, I think can that come across as a conflict of interest? A bookie sponsoring a club?
Possibly, but I mean, to be fair, they are all starting to have to drop off now, aren't they?
Yeah, but that's to stop addicts that can't control themselves betting. That's all that is. They want betting companies not to advertise in football because people can't control themselves anymore.
Yeah, I mean, they're still not going to fuck themselves over. Though,
so the players can't bet, but the betting companies can sponsor the football team.
Yeah,
weird. Anyway, that might just be me being a bit of a bellend. But
I just want to thank Jim Jam for turning up.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Jim Jam for being here. But on a serious note, Jim Jam has had a bit of a family emergency, so we do genuinely wish him all the best, and we wish his family all the best, and we hope everything is okay, and we will be contacting him very, very soon after the podcast. But that's not going to stop us slagging him off for the duration of the podcast. Thank you very much for actually joining me, Tin Ribs.
You are welcome.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
As always.
And don't forget to send me them pictures of James.
Yeah,
so I can add them on. And I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. Dean, your gift should be with you this week, as long as Tin Ribs doesn't fall ill and decide not to go to work. So thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We love you all, and we shall see you next week.